TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel asserts its intention to respond to Iran's blatant missile and drone attack on Israeli territory. Tehran threatens to retaliate to any Israeli attack 10 times fold and levels a direct threat also towards the United States of America. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant highlights the crucial importance of a deepening strategic alliance under U.S. auspices. Israel will respond to the blatant aggression by the Islamic Republic of Iran at a time and a location of its own choosing. The Ayatollah regime significantly escalated regional tensions over the weekend when it initially seized a Portuguese-flagged cargo ship in the Strait of Hormuz on Saturday, which the IRGC claimed to have links to Israel. Meanwhile, after 2 weeks in which the Islamic Republic pledged to strike Israel over an alleged Israeli strike adjacent to Tehran's consulate in Damascus, in which the top Quds Force commander for Iran's terror proxies in both Syria and Lebanon was killed, the IRGC announced that it would punish Israel and prepared to launch hundreds of projectiles toward Israeli territory.
What is your message to Iran in this moment?
Don't. We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel. We will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed. Thank you very much.
While U.S. President Joe Biden reiterated his warning to Iran not to attack Israel, the Islamic Republic evidently remained convinced that the Biden administration had no appetite to confront Iran for its belligerent intent. The initial attack began during the afternoon hours of Saturday, when the Lebanese Iranian proxy Hezbollah launched over 50 rockets at the Upper Galilee and Golan regions in Israel. Thankfully, all of the incoming projectiles were intercepted, and no injuries or damage were reported. Subsequently, as it became evident that Iran was preparing to launch a wide-scale attack from its territory, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a televised address to the nation, emphasizing Jerusalem's clear-cut policy.
We have determined a clear principle. Whoever harms us, we will harm them. We will defend ourselves against any threat and will do so level-headedly and with determination. Citizens of Israel, I know that you also are level-headed. I call on you to follow the directives of IDF Home Front Command. Together we will stand, and with God's help, together we will overcome all of our enemies.
At approximately 11 p.m. on Saturday night, roughly 170 one-way attack drones were launched from Iran predominantly, as well as Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, with Israeli, American, and British aircraft alongside France and other partners in the region, engaging those threats far beyond Israeli skies. Subsequently, some 30 cruise missiles and over 120 ballistic missiles were also launched at Israel. However, to Tehran's obvious dismay, the vast majority of its hostile projectiles were intercepted, with less than 10 ballistic missiles falling in the outskirts of an Israeli Air Force base in the southern Negev region, causing minor damage.
A defensive coalition of Israel and its international partners successfully thwarted a large-scale attack from Iran. Iran and its proxies launched over 350 suicide drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles and rockets from Iran, Iraq, Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon towards Israel. With approximately 60 tons of warheads and explosive materials. But the threat from Iran was met with the aerial operational, technological, and intelligence superiority of a united defensive coalition of international allies led by the United States together with Great Britain, France, and other partners in the region. Together, we intercepted 99% of the threat towards Israel. Together, we thwarted Iran's attack.
It is important to highlight that one 10-year-old Israeli girl from the southern Bedouin tribe sustained severe injuries when debris from an intercepted missile fell in the vicinity of their home. And while Iran clearly seeks to escalate regional tensions into an all-out conflagration, Admiral Hagari emphasized that Jerusalem remains clear-eyed about Israel's war objectives vis-à-vis the Hamas-plagued Gaza Strip.
Iran's unprecedented attack was met with an unprecedented defense. This was the first time that such a coalition worked together against the threat of Iran and its proxies in the Middle East. Even while under attack from Iran, we have not lost sight, not for one moment, of our critical mission in Gaza to rescue our hostages from the hands of Iran's proxies, Hamas, of our moral duty to do everything we can to bring back home 133 hostages. Hamas recently rejected the hostage release proposal offered to them by the mediators. Hamas and Iran want to ignite the Middle East and to escalate the region. We are still on high alert and assessing the situation. Over the last few hours, we approved operational plans for both offensive and defensive actions. We will continue to protect the state of Israel, and together with our partners, we will continue to build a more secure and stable Middle East.
Meanwhile, Israel notes a significant opportunity to gain the upper hand versus the Ayatollah regime as it is working with its allies and partners to prepare a coalition to eradicate the eastern threat.
We have an opportunity to establish a strategic alliance against this grave threat by Iran, which is threatening to mount nuclear explosives on these missiles, which could be an extremely grave threat. The U.S., Israel, and its allies stand shoulder to defend against this threat.
Turning to the United Nations, where a heated Emergency Security Council meeting was held, as prospects of an all-out regional war have reached an all-time high.
Israel is not the boy who cried wolf. We have been screaming from the rooftops for years, trying to wake up the international community, but to no avail. If only this council would have internalized my words, it would not have needed the bone-rattling explosions of last night's attack to wake it up. This attack crossed every red line, and Israel reserves the legal right to retaliate. We are not a frog in boiling water. We are a nation of lions. Following such a massive and direct attack on Israel, the entire world, let alone Israel, cannot settle for inaction. We will defend our future. No more red carpet treatment here at the UN. No more appeasement. Today, the Council must take action. Condemn Iran for their terror, trigger the snapback mechanism and reimpose crippling sanction, designate the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terror organization. Action must be taken now, not for Israel's sake, not for the region's sake, but for the world's sake. Stop Iran today.
While Jerusalem is preparing for retaliation, Iran is seemingly trying to justify its attack to the international community, claiming that an attempt by Russia and China to condemn Israel for its alleged strike on the RGC Quds Force compound, situated adjacent to the Iranian consulate in Damascus, was blocked by the US, France, and the United Kingdom. Per Iran, which clearly has no legal grounds for its blatant strike on Saturday, the failure to condemn Israel prompted the RGC to act.
Regrettably, the Security Council has failed in its duty to maintain international peace and security. Russia proposed a press statement to denounce this atrocious act, which was backed by China, Algeria, and many members, but was blocked by the US, UK, and France. Faced with such circumstances, the Islamic Republic of Iran had no choice but to exercise its inherent right to self-defense under international law.
The Iranian ambassador went on to urge the United States to stay out of the war between Iran and Israel, seemingly fearing an American military response to the repeated attacks against U.S. forces, as well as allies and partners in the Middle East.
Iran has no intention of engaging in conflict with the U.S. in the region. We demonstrated our commitment to peace by exercising our restraint about involving the U.S. Army in intercepting Iranian drones and missiles bound for military targets in the occupied Palestinian territories. This underscores our dedication to de-escalating tension and avoiding the expansion of conflict. However, if the U.S. initiates military operation against Iran, its citizens, or its security and interests, Iran will use its inherent right to respond proportionately. I thank you.
Despite the attempt to dissuade the United States and other Western powers from confronting the Iranian threat, Washington's alternate representative at the World Body relayed a clear warning to the Ayatollah regime.
If Iran or its proxies take actions against the United States or further action against Israel, Iran will be held responsible.
As we have demonstrated, the United Kingdom will continue to stand up for Israel's security and for that of all our regional partners, including Jordan and Iraq. We welcome the actions of our allies to deter the Iranian threat.
By deciding on such an unprecedented action, Iran is taking a new level in its destabilizing actions and is taking the risk of a military escalation for which it would be responsible. We call on Iran and its allies to finally and without further delay cease their destabilizing activities throughout the region.
Despite Iran's evident failure to penetrate Israel's defenses at large, illustrating Tehran's overrated capabilities, the leaders of the Ayatollah regime's military arms have decried that the failed barrage of drones, cruise, and ballistic missiles served as a paradigm shift for the entire Middle East. Moreover, in an attempt to reassure its regime supporters, the commander of Iran's military leveled a threat toward the United States.
From now on, if the Zionist regime attacks our interests, our properties, our personalities, and our citizens, we will retaliate against them from the Islamic Republic of Iran. We consider this operation successful, and this operation has ended in our opinion, and there is no intention to continue this operation. But if the Zionist regime takes any action against the Islamic Republic of Iran, either on the soil of Iran or in the centers belonging to us in Syria or elsewhere, our next operation will be much bigger than this. We have messaged the U.S. through Switzerland's embassy that if the United States participates in the next aggressive actions of the Zionists through the military bases or facilities it has in the region, and this information is confirmed for us, the American bases, personnel, and facilities will not have security in the region. And we see America as an aggressor, and we will deal with him as well.
It is worth highlighting that while acknowledging Israel's right to respond to Iran's blatant aggression, Jerusalem's Western allies are publicly urging it to forgo on a retaliatory response.
Well, I think they're perfectly justified to think they should respond because they have been attacked. But we are urging them as friends to think with head as well as heart, to be smart as well as tough, and to recognize Iran suffered this defeat because the attack was a failure. The world can see what a malign influence they are. And I think that the right thing to do is not to escalate In many ways, Iran has suffered a double defeat, the almost complete failure of their attack, and also by making this attack, they've revealed to the world their true nature as the malign influence in the region.
Israel with respect to responding to this attack?
First, we need to see what the War Cabinet decides in terms of the whatever next step they want to pursue, and that's a sovereign decision, of course, that our Israeli counterparts have to make. But I don't think you can look at what happened last night in any way, shape, or form and not come away convinced that the president meant every word he said, ironclad commitment. It's going to be up to the Israelis to decide what the next step is here. I will just say this. President Biden, since the beginning of this conflict, has worked very hard to keep this from becoming a broader regional war.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our productions, which are exclusively donation-based, as such, broadcast free of charge, please consider making a donation. You can do so by visiting our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.